Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. Things are falling apart in Kenya Kwanza. The center can no longer hold. William Ruto is receiving blows from all corners. If it's not regarding causing trouble, it's another group causing trouble. Some members of parliament from the Luo Nation who joined Ruto immediately after the 2022 elections are now complaining of some unfulfilled promises. They are now urging William Ruto to fulfill on the promises he made to them. I want us to listen to these members of parliament, but before we do that, let me say this. The members of parliament from the Luo Nation, the ODM MPs, who crossed over to Kenya Kwanza, they never crossed over for developments, but they crossed over for their own personal gains. I'm saying that because at the time they were crossing over, the Luo Nation was mourning and grieving over an alleged stolen election. So the Luo Nation was seriously suffering. And if they could have asked that ground whether they should cross over to Kenya Kwanza, the ground would have told them no. And they knew that very well, but they still crossed over to Kenya Kwanza, ignoring what the ground was saying. So it's clear their crossing over to Kenya Kwanza was not because of the ground, but they were chasing their own personal interests. Right now they're complaining that that same ground they ignored is now asking them, where are the developments? I want us to dig deep into this for Kenyans to understand how fast William Ruto and his team are becoming very irrelevant on the ground. Listen to this before we continue.
And now, opposition legislators who declared the support to the Kenya Kwanza government immediately after the last general election are pleading with the government to urgently implement President William Ruto's promises to Nyanza residents in order to make it easy for them to make inroads in the area. Legislators David Ochieng of Ugenya, Gideon Ochanda of Bondo, and Felix Odiwuor, Elias Jalango of Langata said Nyanza residents were questioning them about the promises made by the government, hence making it hard for them to sell both the government and Kenya Kwanza policies.
Our enemy is not ODM. Our enemy is not Raila. But I hope the enemy of these people is the government meeting their demands. If you are building roads in central Kenya and Rift Valley, give us our fair share of roads. That's our enemy.
Can you do what you can, such that some of those promissory projects that the president made in front of our people, the people are very, very happy. And there are not many projects. Some of them, if we have them included in the next estimates for this country, it will be a firm and a good confirmation that we are working with the government.
You must be a person who takes a stand. If you take a stand and this is the direction you're taking, you're supporting the president, you're working the president, come out and say it. Don't lie to our people.
What does all that mean, ladies and gentlemen? The first meaning, those ODM leaders who crossed over to Kenya Kwanza, this was now complaining, they are no longer very sure of a William Ruto winning a re-election come 2027. Some had crossed over hoping that in the event they lost their seats, then William Ruto was going to give them jobs in Kenya Kwanza government. But with what is currently happening in Kenya Kwanza government, and with the kind of a rebellion Ruto is facing on the mountain and in the Rift Valley, these ODM rebels are no longer very sure if Ruto will win a re-election come 2027. So they want to start identifying with the ground, that ground they ignored. That's why they are complaining of these unmet promises. 2 years down the line, they have been silent. Why now, at a time there is an explosion in Kenya Kwanza? They know William Ruto might not win a re-election. So they know they will all be in the political cold. They want to start appeasing the ground. The second reason, William Ruto is not catering for their personal interests. We know they crossed over for their own personal interests. It appears upon crossing over and taking photos with William Ruto, it ended there. Ruto is no longer interested in them. After all, he has already achieved what he wanted. Ruto's style and brand of politics is based on creating perceptions, lies, and propaganda. Immediately after 2022 election, Ruto was very desperate to be seen as a leader enjoying support across the country. He was very desperate for that. And I'm saying that because we all know Ruto, according to what Chebukati announced, had only votes from the Kalenjins and from the Kikuyus, a majority votes. All these other regions, his competitor beat him hands down. So you are seeing William Ruto was very desperate to be seen to be a national leader. So he had to lure some leaders across the country for his government to be seen as an all-inclusive government. And that's why anytime some leaders crossed over, he was taking photos with them just to show that he's got support across the country. Ruto is no longer interested in that. So these leaders were used, and now their usefulness is no longer needed. Another reason why these leaders are complaining, it's very, very clear they are regretting for having made that move to join Ruto. Even though when I was listening to their full speeches, they were saying they were not regretting, but I'm seeing a team clearly regretting. They joined the government too early. So in other words, they are just regretting for having made that wrong move. They are now regretting. That's why they are coming out to complain. And also, if you look at those leaders, I'm seeing leaders without stance at all. They are not ready to die for anything. They are just people who are just fair weather. They flow with the current. If the wind is blowing towards Ruto, they are going towards Ruto. If they see the wind is now not blowing towards Ruto, they also want to dump Ruto. So I'm seeing a team that is laying the ground to dump Ruto. That confirms they are leaders without any stand. They are not ready to die for a cause. Jalango cannot die for a cause. Most of these leaders are just wassalating. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Any other person watching us outside Kenya, drop a comment. Let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. And to any other person who may want to support us, in any way, that's my M-Pesa number. Let's meet in our next analysis. Thank you.